What is up, everyone? Today I am going to be taking apart and refurbishing this old GameCube. It doesn't play discs. I'm going to show you how to make them play discs. If you have one that the laser's worn out, I'm going to show you how to get a little bit more life out of it. What you will need, without a doubt, is a standard, one of these little cheap screwdriver sets that include a game bit and a Phillips head screwdriver. Varying sizes, one small, one big. And an optional item would be an electrical meter. You don't have to have one of these. You can kind of just go by feel, kind of trial and error, or you can use one of those and be kind of precise. First thing we're going to do with this is, I don't really want to scratch the top of the GameCube beyond what it's already scratched, so I'm just going to put a microfiber towel down. So you turn this over, and right here you've got 4 game bits. I'm going to take these out. I'm not sure if they need to come out, but I'm going to take them out anyway. I was incredibly lucky to find one that had all these. And the good news is, even if for some reason the system doesn't work once I do this, you can get replacement drives for these, pretty cheaply. So, and even better than that, you can get modded drives where they just take an SD card. And I've got another totally toast GameCube that if you guys like, I will show you how to do that, because there's no hope for that laser. It's actually broken. I got both GameCubes in a bundle deal. The other one's silver. I'll show it to you in just a second. I kind of feel like I might be using the wrong game bit here for some reason. It's hard to know. No, I'm not. Okay. But yeah, I'll show it to you in a second. I've got another one, and I'm going to use it to mod. You just put a SD card in to run Swiss on. So once you get those 4 screws out, you can remove that top shell. It's my copy of Mario Sunshine that I was testing with. Okay. So take your 4 screws, set them aside. I always use some kind of magnetic thing, especially so I can keep them separate and stuff. While we're in here, we're going to be cleaning out the shell and stuff like that, but I won't do all that on camera, make you watch all that. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to pop this down, and you're going to pop the back completely off. Give it a little force right here. That'll come right off. It's not really a problem. And what I normally do is have another screwdriver set ready. That way I don't have to be switching bits and stuff like that. But you can get by with one little set. Yeah. I'm just trying to streamline the process here. Okay. So these come off. And don't worry, those really only go back one way because they've got guiding tabs on it, so you don't have to worry about it getting switched or flipped or anything like that. And you can do all this stuff really in any order over here. The only time you really got to worry about order is in when you're putting the stuff back on. Okay, so the very next thing I'll do is take the fan off here. Actually, before I take those screws off, I want to unplug it from the board there. Just a little tug. There's no locking mechanism on that one at all. Make sure, if you're not familiar with this type of repair, that you're keeping track of these screws. There's 2 screws holding on the fan, and once they're removed, you can kind of wiggle that wire out of there, and you're good. You can just remove the fan completely out of your way. You don't have to unplug it. I just do. Now there's 3 more screws on this side. One here, one here, one here, one here, and then 5 more over here. Let's remove all of these screws. This is actually like one of the easier repairs that you can do on a system. We're also going to just clean the laser, just you know, might as well. I've already tried cleaning the laser, and I got intermittent success. It would read the game but not play the game, right? So it could actually recognize the game once I cleaned it. So I think it's just, that was just a fluke more than anything. When you're putting all these back together, you got to make sure you do them in a, you know, a couple of them go in a certain order, because of the fan. It's easy to forget, because I've done this repair several times over the years, so I'm very familiar with it. I rarely ever use a multimeter, but I'm going to show you what to do and where to put the points, just in case. But yeah, basically we're going all around the edge here on these screws. And once you do, this will just kind of unplug. There is a plug kind of hardwired to the board there and the laser. Okay, so once all of those screws are out, you want to just tug up on this. Oh, well, don't be like me and forget one screw and almost completely ruin it. Okay. It's in there. Alright, so now, once you do that, you kind of tug it up. Here's the plug right here. We can set this to the side. Okay, so while we're here right there on this part, I am going to go ahead and take a cotton swab and some 91% isopropyl alcohol. Really, if you can get more, if you can get a higher percentage, get it. So you want to submerge that and then kind of, you know, not squeeze it all off, but get the majority of it off, the excess. And you want to lightly rub this, you know, 5 to 10 seconds. In a circular motion. Try to get it all. And then what I do is I will take the dry side, kind of dry it off. Now we've got plenty of time for that to dry. Alright, and now here comes the final final part of this. You're going to want to flip this over. And there are 6 more screws in here. You want to remove. Alright, so sorry, I'm trying to do 3 things at once. Didn't really want to pause the video there. I try to do these with as little cuts as I can do, just because, you know, I don't know. To me, it always looks kind of shady when a video that's showing a repair job has a whole bunch of cuts in it. You're like, wait, is that even the same thing? But I don't know. This is such an easy and well-documented fix for this GameCube. It'd be kind of pointless for someone to fake it. But I mean, almost certainly somebody has, right? Because it's the internet. Alright, once that's done, you can pull this off. Okay? Now, people who are much smarter than me figured this out. So don't think I figured this out. What you're looking for is this right here. And they call this the pot. Now, as you can see, there are 2 metal pieces over here, right? You see them? And there's one right there. So what you're going to want to do is take your multimeter out and measure it. Kind of see where you're at. And there's multiple revisions of the board. So what you want to do is just get on Google and find out which board you have, and what your numbers need to look like because I will tell you this is an incredibly tedious thing. So plug up your meter if you have one. If you don't have a meter, don't worry. I'm going to show you. You can do it without this. It's not really a problem. But if you do, you want to set your ohms to the 2000s if you have that type of meter. Okay. But basically, here, I'm not going to set mine to the 2000s. I'm going to set mine where I like it at. But basically, what we're going to do, it doesn't matter which side of these goes where. Just want to put one on the bottom where there's two. Whoops. On the side where there's two, put one on the bottom and put one here. Let's see where that's at. Okay, so we're at 156, which is about, see if it's jumping and dancing all over the place. So 156. So we've got a completely different revision of the board. Now sometimes turning this doesn't really change that resistance whatsoever, but you want to turn this ever so slightly. You see about a quarter of a turn there. Not even a quarter of a turn. Yeah, it still says 156, but that's okay. Actually, let's switch it to a different, we'll do that. Let me turn it just a touch more here. Just a touch more. Alright. So we're getting a different reading entirely altogether here. 247. See, that's right. I had it on the wrong setting there. So 244 to 247. So before that, it was more than likely on about 300. What you don't want to do is you never want to get below 150. Which that's what kind of made me nervous there a second ago. I don't usually use the meters. So I'm just kind of showing you what you can do. But that's not really how I do it. And that's not really how most people do it. I think most people just kind of go with, you know, kind of like an eighth of a turn to a quarter of a turn at a time. Kind of take it apart, put it back together. You know, multiple times until you get it right. To me, that's just the easiest way to do it. Even though it seems far more tedious. And the reason it seems like it's far more tedious is because it is. Alright, so now you're just going to want to find how that thing goes back together. Let's switch that to that. Now we're going to basically just put it all back together. Now, if you want, just fast forward through this part, or I might fast forward through this part on the edit. But I do want to show you here in a minute where to be careful when putting these back together. And again, you know, if these videos actually go anywhere and get anything, you know, any kind of views, I don't necessarily care about tons and tons of subscribers. I mean, obviously I would love to get some subscribers. You know, if you guys would subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it, because if I could actually get some subscribers, I can do far more of this. I want to go around and get, you know, lots and lots of non-working consoles and kind of fix them and get them back out there. You know, we could do giveaways even, and give away consoles. To me, that would be awesome. I don't know. I think that would be great, actually. So when you put this back on, you want to make sure it's seated properly. It kind of snaps into place, right? Okay, so here's where you want to be careful. So you've got your fan here, right? And your fan goes right there. And there's two screws that your fan has right here. But the problem is under the fan, there's 3 more screws. An even bigger problem is if you think you're going to get these 3 screws and you can get finished, you're not. You need to get this one too. So what I always do is I start with this one over here, because if you get those 3 on and then put the fan on, like I've done countless times, you can't get that screw in with the fan on. So you end up having to take the fan back off. So basically all you want to do, you want to put these 4 on first before you do the other 2 right here with the fan. That's really it. That's the part you want to watch out for. There is another thing I always do here in a second. I'm going to show you. If you remember the little pin-looking things, the little thin metal things that look like a brush on the end of it in a way. I'll show you what I mean in a second. When you put the fan back on, make sure you reroute that wire through. Kind of keep it in the back out of the way there. All right, and the fan goes into its own little groove there too. All right, so let's get the screws back into the fan here. We'll plug the fan up. Don't worry, you can't possibly mess this part up. If you forget to plug the fan up and think you're going to burn your console up, you won't. Because the fan and the power button are on the same thing, and I do not think that the console will boot if that's not plugged in. I don't know that to be a fact, but pretty sure I heard that it's part of that circuit. It's not something that I've forgotten to do, but not to say I would never forget to do something like that, because I've made that same fan mistake on these several times. But I think 1/8 of a turn, what we've done over there, really we ended up with about 1/4 of a turn. I'm not entirely great with the numbers. There are several revisions of the board, and depending on who you listen to or what thread you read, different people say different, you want to see different numbers. There's really no real consensus. You can even ask Google's ChatGPT. You can ask Gemini versus ChatGPT, and they'll both give you differing answers on what it should be for each specific board. All right. Really, we just want this thing to read a game and actually boot up into the game. The copy of Mario Sunshine I've got is in pretty rough shape. I'm gonna go see my dude up here at the local video game store. He resurfaces discs for $3, which is a tremendous deal. Support local video game stores if you can. Okay, so here comes these. Like I said, these can only go on one way because they have those guiding little holes right there. So you don't really have to worry about messing those up, even if they pop out when you're trying to get the screws in there properly. Since they're deep tunnels there, I like to just go ahead and throw both screws in. And I'll start with one and get it kind of mediocre. Get the other one pretty close. And then kind of make sure they're slid into place before I crank one down. Go over there and crank the other one down too. So these basically provide a connection to the controllers. Or it could be for the memory cards. I'm not entirely sure. But I know it connects to this board. So there's a little thing I like to do here in a second too. You can kind of see where these are not. It's not chewed up or anything, but it's just wear marks from being connected. Is I will take a Q-tip with a little isopropyl, get a little isopropyl alcohol on it, and I just kind of clean those up before I even put this back together, just to kind of make sure we've got a good connection. Then I'll go back through and with the dry side, dry it off. Okay, so here we go. So we are going to snap that back on. Now it's tricky here. You got to make sure that that's seated properly. Okay. And don't forget your back. And do the same thing over there. You slide that on, and this one doesn't snap as, I don't know, as robustly, I guess, as the others. as you can see, I am fairly confident that this is going to fix our problem. So I'm just going to completely reassemble this. Okay. Put your four game bits. You know, I don't know what it is. I can never find a game bit that's actually really good for a GameCube. I don't know if it's the GameCube screws are like more bowl shape on the end, but they always slip. It sounds a lot worse than it is. They never strip, but they slip quite a bit, so you got to put a good amount of pressure as you're cranking them down. Otherwise, you know, you probably could strip them pretty easy. I don't know. I'm pretty careless and I've never stripped them. Alright. Now, put your covers back on. So these are incredibly difficult to find one of these. Just all of these, especially the black one, which is what I've wanted for quite some time. So I'm hoping this one will work. And the gray one I've got over here, this will be in an upcoming video. We're going to reshell it and completely mod it. It's missing the main serial port at the bottom, which kind of bothers me. Alright, let's go test this out. Okay, we're back over here. Just want to mention something. These are incredibly cheap. You know, $10 to $20, and it upscales your console to HDMI. This works on the GameCube, the 64, and the Super Nintendo. They're incredibly worth having. Alright, so let's see if we can read a disc. We're going to find it. That's HDMI 1. Really certain. We're going to hit the power button. Alright, it's booting. System settings were lost. No, we're not going to do that right now. That's just basically because we took all the power off the board, the battery. Yeah. Okay, so we booted right into Mario Sunshine. So that, folks, right there. It didn't even go to the settings menu like it normally does and make you select. So I know there's no memory card. Begin playing anyway? Absolutely. Alright, well, as you can see, that's fantastic. I'm so excited about it. Well, thank you folks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this type of content. If you do, please consider liking and subscribing so we can do more things like this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.